Welcome. So there's been a lot of distractions, and by design, a lot of interesting distractions. I finally realized today that we are being made to see all kinds of. It's like a treasure hunt of truth, except it's not a real treasure hunt. It's to distract you. One of the things right now that's happening in Gaza is the fact that there's a major ground force that is going to be eradicated people's right to exist. So what happened 48 hours ago was part of that distraction, and then all kinds of little clues and things by design. But I digress. The main key that you're going to be seeing in the next few weeks is the fact that people who you thought were spiritual, people who you thought were teachers and guides and leaders of their community, you're seeing the teachers and guides and leaders of their community, you're seeing the masks fall away and exposing themselves for their true character. You're going to hear people say things, celebrate people's demise, things of that nature. And it's hear people say things, celebrate people's demise, things of that nature. And it's bizarre. And people are going to act like they actually care. You're going to see people like crocodile tears acting like just to make sure that they placate the masses. But what you're watching right now as we speak is a mob mentality. It's a mob mentality. And mob mentality shows that they are part of cattle. Rambo called them the cattle of humanity. And this is something that is not to put you on a fucking pedestal. It's just for you to understand how important your individuality is and your individual integrity is. Your empathy, your integrity, your honor, and your bravery to continue in spite of people falling by the wayside. And they're falling by the wayside really fast. And so the distractions, right? It's okay. So honestly, personally, I'm done now. I'm not going down different rabbit holes. I know what I know. And you have to know what you know. Okay? The Epstein files, the this, the that, who gives, honestly, at this point, it's not who gives a shit, but let's be honest. If it's going to happen, it'll happen. But no amount of conversations and long ass fucking podcasts and whatchamacallit, lives. You know, I remember calling one of these lives outcasts and whatchamacallit, lives. You know, I remember calling one of these lives out on the Gaza thing, and they were letting a Zayo talk and talk for like an hour, and I called the guy out. I said, "Why are you doing that? Why are you guys all talking like that instead of coming up with solutions and action points?" You know what I mean? Like fucking sending videos to The Hague, insisting on immediate addressing and putting down some addressing and putting down some long and talk. How many fucking conversations can you have over the obvious? So as we speak right now, there are ground forces, and that's what we've been distracted from. What being all our eyes turned to the right instead of to front and center. What's really happening right now. But it has exposed people who have a lack of empathy and a lack of honor and integrity. And those people are falling by the wayside. So that there's always, like I said, the glass is half full. People are being, called from your attention. One of the things I will say to you, and I will say this, is I noticed that Dean Winters, I'm not a fan of his at all. Not at all. I think he's a complete hypocrite. But a lot of people, and I don't understand where this comes from. There are people in Gaza and in camps, okay, refugee camps, who are doing lives to get enough money to get a bag of flour, which costs, and a bag of flour, 2 kilos, I believe it's 2 kilos, or 1 kilo, I think it's 1 kilo, it's $30, okay? And so some of these people are on lives, and they get maybe 2 to 3 to 4 people. Meanwhile, people are going on Dean Winter's, lives and sending him $15, $30 gifts. Why? When you actually have real families, that you can basically care for. When you can, like follow 3 or 4 of them, and when they come on the live, go on there and send them a $5 gift. Tap the screen for an hour while you're reading a book. I'm actually not kidding, because they don't have anything to. It's not like they have nothing to say, but they're trying to on 12-hour lives to probably gather $10 if they're lucky. Meanwhile, creators like some of the gifts I get from you guys, which honestly, I'm gonna be honest, it comes out to $2. I actually use it to some of the gifts I get from you guys, which honestly, I'm gonna be honest, it comes out to $2. I actually use it to send it to them. Okay, just so you know what I'm doing. If you send me a gift, it goes directly to the families that I'm caring for. And that's not for me telling you, oh, I'm just so incredible. No, I'm just saying, let's use our brains. Let's not send these content creators who are really profiting from the whole flotilla conversation. And they'll go, one guy admitted he does these lives 150 hours a week. He's paying his rent, which I understand. But there are real families who really, I can tell, one particular guy that I follow who takes care of his Down syndrome brother, I can see he's losing weight. Okay? It's not like it's difficult. So I'm just going to ask you to, consider finding some of these people and giving them the $15 gift. What the fuck are we sending Dean Winters a $15 gift? A massive sports car that comes across the screen and explodes into confetti. What the fuck is wrong with people? Why? So when he does a live, he's making what, $300-400 for 3 hours? And he's getting cha-ching more money here and there? I can tell you, if you're going to send any money to anyone, send it to the favorite guy, my favorite guy. Because I can tell you that kid is sending money to those families. Okay? He's doing something with that family. Dean Winters doesn't give a fuck. Okay? And there are other people like him who don't give a fuck either. And they're just playing us. I could mention some other ones, but this one really took the cake. Now, I told you that I had bought, let me back up. There are people now, as we speak, scholars and spiritualists are looking to right the wrongs of what happened to Mary Magdalene. Okay? And they're taking the time, knowing it probably won't sell. In other words, there are people writing books right now on the New Testament, and we know, and they know because I've talked to them. One of them he's a PhD. When I mean scholarly, I'm not kidding. He's written books on X, Y, and Z. And he knows, and there's another PhD, the one who I talked to you about psyche and singularity. He's writing another book. And these guys know they're not going to make money. I'm not joking. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for knowledge and to share knowledge with whoever wants the knowledge, similarly to how I'm going to be writing my books. Okay? The next series of books I need to sit down and write. Okay, and this is not, again, what is this? Virtue signaling? That's a term now? Fuck shaming people who say this is what I'm about. Fuck these terms. To fucking make people like choke on what they're doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing. When you send me gifts, it sits on my account and I turn them over into coins to buy these gifts for those people, hoping to God TikTok's not ripping them off. Okay, just so you know. That's not virtue signaling. And even if it was, who gives a fuck? This is how we learn from each other. Hello? It's how we learn. I'll give you an example. My father was a businessman and he was in the Bahamas, right? And outside the British Colonial Hotel, which is in Nassau, there was a homeless man who was not who had probably suffered some traumatic brain injury. I'll put it this way, okay? And every time he'd come out, my dad would actually come out with a to-go meal. And every time he'd give him $20, every fucking time. From that, I learned charity, to be honest, okay? And I learned charity from how he would treat people who had no money, who were homeless, okay? And this is what he was. Is that virtue signaling? No, it's how we learn from each other, how to give charity, how to not, make judgment. Oh, don't give him money, he'll buy booze. It's like, so what? If he's going to buy booze, let me make sure he has a fucking gallon of water, right? I'm sorry. I'm kind of like there with people. But what we're seeing now is we've seen the splits of the New Age movement. We're seeing the fuckery of the New Age movement, with people collapsing, with people still standing with their full chest that they're not going to get involved in politics because, that's not my business. I'm going to keep my energy good. The fucking world is collapsing. You better do your energy work. And for you to do your energy work, it's kind of like a woman who gets diagnosed with breast cancer and goes, oh, okay, well, I think I'm going to look at other means of healing myself first. And I'm going to be meditating and manifesting healing on my left breast. This is common sense. So that is the same. We are looking at the cancer in our society, in the shit happening, and we're going to heal it. Okay? It's no different. Understand what's happening so you can heal it. You heal it. You also do some meditations that have nothing to do with what you're seeing around you. You're doing meditations and visualizations based on the new earth, right? And you toggle between knowing what's happening and healing and sending healing energy. For example, Gaza, we know what's happening, and we can't do shit except to send healing energy to those terrified, starved, dehydrated human beings who are not being asked to move again. And I don't know if you've ever been dehydrated or sunstroked where you could barely fucking move. So that's asking a lot from people. It's asking the impossible for certain people. Okay? So I'm just going to say that. So the book, I'm going back to it. So the book I'm reading, which, by the way, again, this is me, not a Christian. I would never call myself a Christian if you put 100 grand on the table. But I will say that I follow Yeshua and I follow Krishna and Radha and Mary Magdalena, to be honest. Okay, this is the energies I follow, including the one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all. And so the book I was telling you about a couple days ago, it's called The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You, written by Paramanta Yogananda. The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You, written by Paramanta Yogananda. Now, remember I told you a few lives ago that it was time for us to rewrite the New Testament because we need to fucking right the wrongs. Like, for example, I don't know, put in Mary Magdalene, take the Gospel of Mary and put it in the fucking book and literally cut, for example, I don't know, put in Mary Magdalene, take the Gospel of Mary and put it in the fucking book and literally cut the book in half and go, yeah, Old Testament, we don't need that shit. What do we learn? Nothing. But from the new, yeah, we're learning a lot. And there are a lot of things that need to be fleshed out. So this book is a 2-volume book. It's massively impressive because he talks about the Kundalini awakening. He's taking the New Testament and he's actually writing down he's explaining it using the Vedantas, the Vedic scriptures and knowledge of that in the New Testament, which I think is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating because we have to right the wrongs. You realize right now that there are people waiting for the rapture, right now as we speak, and they're waiting for September 23rd or 24th for the rapture to happen, where they're all going to be brought up into the sky. And God bless them. I hope it works out for them. But for many of us, that's not going to happen. Okay, honestly, right? It's a long shot in hell, let's put it that way. And again, I go back to the irony of ironies that if Yeshua walked down the street as he was 2,000 years ago, as he was, people would treat him like a fucking pariah. He would be treated like a homeless person. I'm not joking. So I find it ironic that people want him back, and yet they would still, they're not even taking care of homeless people. They're not taking care of homeless veterans. They're not taking care of single mothers who have absolutely no DRUJ issues, but are homeless because they got sick or they got laid off and they couldn't find a job because of ageism, because of no education, because there was no money, things of that nature. Okay? We're not even taking care of the people who need the most care, and yet we want him to come back. To do what? Seriously, to do fucking what? When you're celebrating someone who just got unalivened in front of your eyes. And I did a whole thing on empathy on my live. You'll see it as Shiva. You'll see a beautiful, gorgeous man who's blue on my YouTube channel. Go check it out on empathy, how important empathy, compassion is. You have to retain that at any cost. Your compassion and empathy is worth your weight in gold and beyond. The weight of the planet relies on people like you to retain your compassion and empathy to people. Okay? And to refine it. And this is, again, not virtue. I fucking hate that term. Virtue signal. I hate that term. Again, another word, like the other one I hate is unaliving. The other one I hate is grape. The other one I hate is bed rotting. Hate those terms. Because they shame people who need to fucking unplug, aka staying in fucking bed all day long, having ice cream or drinking tea or chai or whatever the fuck you want to drink, or coffee, and just sitting back and watching stupid ass romantic movies because you need to unplug. Nothing wrong with that. Or you need to just cry because the tears are falling down your face and you can't go to work today because you can't face any more bullshit. Okay? So all this shit is like insane to me. And so let me read you the introduction, and I'm going to skip around. And again, you can buy this book on, it's a series of 2 volumes, which I'm really excited about because I've been talking about us as spiritualists writing, not only writing the wrongs, but righting the wrong, and putting her back into creating a new holy book. Let's put it that way. I'll put it this way. And I think what's happening and the dogmatic attitudes that people have, and I'm not here to be politically correct. We're not going to get anywhere if all of us are walking on eggshells. I'm sorry. Okay. Fuck this. But I find it funny. Hi, how are you, my love? It's good to see you on the live. That's a nice surprise. I find it ironic that people believe that Yeshua went to Utah, but he never went to India, Egypt, and Tibet. I keep bringing that up because it still blows my mind. And they don't believe that he might have actually survived. Like, they don't want him to survive the horror of him being on that fucking cross. They don't want him to get off that cross and somehow his mother Mary, his mother, who was a high priestess, and Mary Magdalene, who was a high priestess, to literally do some alchemical healing work. It's like, we know Reiki. It's like, it makes me laugh. I mean, it makes me laugh, but it's so horrific that people would prefer him fucking suffering and dying for their sins, and yet they commit sins again and again and again. The most egregious ones being right now as we speak. Okay? And so I'm going to read you a couple, just the introduction, because I'm reading you this the first time. It's the first time for me, just so you know. Okay, introduction. This was put together in Los Angeles, 2004. Okay. Entitling the work The Second Coming of Christ, I'm not referring to a literal return of Jesus to earth. He came 2,000 years ago, and after imparting a universal path to God's kingdom, was crucified and resurrected. His reappearance to the masses now is not necessary for the fulfillment of his teachings. No shit, I know that. What is necessary is for the cosmic wisdom and divine perception of Yeshua to speak again through each one of our own experiences and understanding of the infinite Christ consciousness that was incarnate in Yeshua. He's saying Jesus, I'm saying Yeshua, just to be clear. That will be his true second coming. What have I been saying? He will return as a lion. And in 2023, I was saying we are the fractals of this promise of the lion. as a lion. And in 2023, I was saying we are the fractals of this promise of the lion. We are the lions. He was once a lamb. That it's funny too, because I'm not here to preach, my friends. I'm just here to say we're looking at refinement of energy, and we're here to excavate the fucking truth, whatever it takes. If it's ugly, we'll take it. If it's beautiful, we'll take it. But we want the absolute unvarnished truth. There is a distinguishing difference of meaning between Yeshua and Christ. His given name was Yeshua. His honorific title was Christ. In his little human body called Yeshua was born the vast Christ consciousness, the omniscience, intelligence of God, omnipresent in every part and particle of creation. This consciousness is the only begotten Son of God, so designated because it is the sole perfect reflection and creation of the transcendental absolute spirit, or the Godfather. And of course, he's going with using Father because, one, Paramahansa Yogananda was born in the late 1800s, and he's using in honoring Paramahansa Yogananda was born in the late 1800s, and he's using in honoring how this was put together. This Bible was cobbled together by Constantine and his bishops in the Council of Nicaea around 400 AD. The terminology used, Father, right? Which, of course, I don't agree with. I think it is his soul with no gender, to be honest. It was of that infinite consciousness, replete with the love and bliss of God, that St. John spoke when he said, "As many as received him, the Christ consciousness, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God." Thus, according to Yeshua's own teaching, as recorded by his most highly advanced apostle John, all souls who become united with Christ's consciousness by intuitive self-realization are rightly called sons, I'm going to add, and daughters of God. A small cup cannot hold an ocean within itself. Likewise, the cup of human consciousness, limited by the physical and mental instrumentals of material perception, cannot grasp the universal Christ consciousness, no matter how desirous one may be of doing so. By the definite science of meditation known for millennials to the yogis and sages of India and to Yeshua, any seeker of God can enlarge the caliber of his consciousness to omniscience, omniscience, to receive within himself the universal intelligence of God. Bingo. Bingo. See, this is why I'm reading the books like that, because this is where we're getting a little more closer to the truth. Yogis, meditation. And as I say to people, praying is talking to the universe, aka, for some people, God, right? They want to call it God, okay, but the universe, the one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all. So prayer is that. Meditation is listening. It's listening. And the first fucking problem with meditation for damn near everyone that says, oh, I can't meditate, I just can't meditate, is the monkey mind. And he is, that monkey mind, he, she, that monkey mind is the gatekeeper to the infinite truth of your power. It literally prevents you from hearing nothing. It's jabbering, it's swinging from one thought to another like a monkey in a jungle. And it will not allow you, right? For the first probably 3 months of your meditation attempts, which you should never stop. That's why I've started to tell people, meditate every day for 5 minutes a day, work on your chakras while you're meditating, and the bell will ring and it will be done. I'd rather you meditated 5 minutes a day for the rest of the fucking year into September of next year, a whole 12 calendar month where all you do is you commit to 5 minutes a day, no matter what, in your car, at lunch, before bed, but sitting up. Oh, meditation, you won't fall asleep if you're sitting up. I'll guarantee it. And when you're falling asleep, just on the side note, it's something in you that does not want to wake up, because there are levels of waking up, you know? There are multiple levels. It's a layer cake of dimensional consciousness awakenings, if that makes sense. And so when you say things like, well, it makes me fall asleep, good, it relaxes your nervous system, sit up. work on your chakras. Chant a mantra. You have to be actively involved in your meditation. If your body's fidgeting, you move back and forth, and so you can, you move your hips like a belly dancer. Put your arms up above your head and play like you're a flamenco dancer, or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, let your body get it all out while your eyes are closed, while you're in meditation, until you master your ability to find that moment of silence. And the irony is you'll be silent, because I've had those experiences where you're silent and then your mind pops up going, oh my God, I've been silent. And now you're back in, the thought forms coming in really fast. And so when we read this book, if you decide to read this book, I hope you get it. It's a good investment, in my opinion. It will give you some of the nectar you've been looking for. And for many of you who still feel a connection to Yeshua, but you cannot abide, nor can you digest this fucking book that everyone's banging. Well, wars have been started over that book, right? It's at some point, you got to go, wait, hang on. I can't, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I could get a little more violent in my language, but I won't, because, TikTok won't allow it. So, but suffice it to say, I think you know where I'm coming from. Listen to what my eyes just fell on this. Yeshua Christ was crucified once, but his teachings are crucified daily at the hands of superstition, dogmatism, and pedantic theological misrepresentations. My aim in offering to the world a spiritual interpretation of his words is to show how the Christ consciousness of Yeshua, free us from such crucifixions, can be brought back a second time into the souls of all who make the effort to receive it. Surely, with the dawn of the more enlightened age, the time has come to stop this crucifixion of the Christ teaching as given by Yeshua. His pristine message should be resurrected from its entombment by self-realization, the inner enlightenment experience of truth. That's why I bought the books. That's why, because I cannot listen to shit anymore. Again, Schofield Bible. I made a whole thing on the Schofield Bible. You can check it out on my YouTube. A whole thing. I went down the rabbit hole of Cyrus Schofield, a drunk, a shyster, abandoned his wife and children, where she had to file an abandonment suit to get a divorce. Him and Darby suit to get a divorce. Him and Darby, because he had met Darby, created, well, part of it was the rapture. And all kinds of shit, including what you guys, if many of you have seen, Ted Cruz opposite Tucker Carlson talking about how, we're supposed to support la, because it says so in the Bible. Do you even know the scripture? No, you don't, huh? Blindly following like cattle into where? And so self-realization, which is what Yeshua taught with Mary Magdalene. That's why she was his equal, his consort, his beloved, the divine sacred union, the template we should aspire to, which was smashed to smithereens by emperors like Constantine. I say it's vile. He was an emperor, for Christ's sakes. He was a conqueror. And what do conquerors do when they win? They enslave people. This has been going on for thousands of years. So let me continue. In these pages, I offer to the world an intuitionally perceived spiritual interpretation of the words spoken by Yeshua, truths received through actual communication with Christ consciousness. When Paramahansa Yogananda died, just so you know, the undertaker in LA County, and not the undertaker, no, it was the undertaker. I think there's a letter at the back of his book from the autobiography of Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Apparently, his body never decayed. So this was a true spiritual avatar. Okay, and if you're ever lucky to be in Los Angeles, not that it's a lucky time now, but if you're ever lucky to be in Pacific Palisades on Pacific Coast Highway, and you go into the Self-Realization Center there in Pacific Palisades, which I used to go a lot with my son when he was like a toddler, and beyond. And my mother, she loved that. She would go and do go to the 9 a.m. sermons, and there's a 12 p.m. sermon as well. And they're not sermons the way you think. These are very beautiful people. The energy in that place is fucking unhinged. It's incredible. And as you're walking up the staircase of their gardens, for example, because Paramansa created many, many retreats. There's one in San Diego. Anyway, I remember once walking up the staircase, and it goes through the garden. There's the windmill, there's the swans, there's the whole thing. And I was listening to languages after me. I was hearing Arabic, Farsi, French, Italian. I turned to my mom. I go, Jesus, I feel like I'm like in Babylon or something, like something insane, like beautiful, like before we lost our ability to realize that we were all divinely guided by one. There's no such thing as my God. There's just God, universe, and to see all these people who were all from different parts of the world, and who all, by the way, to see all these people who were all from different parts of the world, and who all, by the way, when you go there, you'll see all of the religious Muhammad, you'll see all the religious examples on their dais, if you will, of every religion you can think of, from Sufism to, so yeah, we saw people who were, Hindus and Sikhs, and it's wild. It's absolutely, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. One of the most beautiful things. So I highly recommend if you can. So did you see what he said? He said, interpretation of the words spoken by Yeshua, truths received through actual communication with Christ consciousness. You can't do that unless you're meditating. They will be found to be universally true if they are studied consciously and meditated upon with soul-awakened intuitive perception. They reveal the perfect unity that exists among the revelation of the Christian Bible, the Bhagavad Gita of India, and all other time-tested true scriptures. The saviors of the world do not come to foster inimical doctrinal divisions. Did you hear that? They don't come to divide and conquer. Their teaching should not be used towards that end. It is something of a misnomer even to refer to the New Testament as the Christian Bible, for it does not belong exclusively to any sect. Truth is meant for the blessings and uplifting of the entire human race. As the Christ consciousness is universal, so does Yeshua Christ belong to all of us. Though I emphasize the message of Lord Yeshua in the New Testament and the yoga science of God union delineated by Bhagavan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita as the summum bonum of the way God realization, I honor the diverse expression of truth flowing from the one God through the scriptures of his various emissaries. All such scriptures have threefold meaning: material, mental, and spiritual. They are divine wells of living waters. Living waters. Let's stop here for a minute, because again, I'm reading this with you. I haven't read this before. Living waters. Did I know? Living waters. Let's stop here for a minute, because again, I'm reading this with you. I haven't read this before. Living waters. Did I not do a whole thing on waters? The language of waters by Veda Austin. Look for that live on my YouTube channel. Okay? Should be under Ascension. And one of the great lines that my twin loved was Krishna saying, I am the taste of water. What is the most important thing on the planet for us thriving? Water, the sun. And what are people in the 1% buying up? Water. I just thought I'd throw that in. So let me just repeat it. They are divine wells of living waters that can quench humanity's thirst of body, mind, and soul. The timeless revelation sent by God through illuminated prophets were serve human beings on each of the three levels of their nature. The material meaning of the teachings of Christ emphasize their value as applied to physical and social being. The eternal laws of right living, did you hear that? Right living, as applied to physical and social well-being. Living pertinent to man's personal, familial, business, community, national, and international duties as a member of God's worldwide human family. The mental interpretation explains, the application of Christ's teachings for the improvement of man's mind and understanding, development of his intellectual and psychological facilities, his thoughts and moral values. Yeah. The mental interpretation explains the application of Christ's teachings for the improvement of man's mind and understanding, development of his intellectual and psychological faculties, his thoughts and moral values. This is why I if I go to a church, it's usually empty. By the way, churches, just so you know, pagan religion, right, which I have great respect for, by the way. But the ancient pagans, which they call pagans, which were made up of shamans, druids, druidesses who understood frequency and the connection of the earth and the skies and the stars and so on and so forth. Well, anyway, so the Catholic Church could not convert them. So they also had holy sites, monoliths, rocks, this, that, and the other, right? So the church, and I've said this before, this is to remind you of how powerful this annihilation of ancient wisdom was pursued. So the churches were built on those ley lines and those power places, okay? Which would explain why you walk into a little chapel in the middle of, say, France or Italy, and you feel unfucking believable. It's not the church. It could be for you, but I know it was never for me. It was an energy, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And of course, there are some churches like Chartres or Notre Dame, my finger on it. And of course, there are some churches like Chartres or Notre Dame that are awesome to see. You know, the glass windows, this, that, and the other. It's pretty intense, but really, it's the vibration and frequency. By the way, Schumann resonance is spiking. Has been spiking incredibly. So let me jump around here. There's a vast difference between theoretical religion and philosophy and their actual practice. Practically speaking, philosophy may be divided into three parts: ethics, philosophy, and metaphysics. These three departments are covered in both the Hindu and Christian Bibles. Ethics, scriptural truth as applied to material life, set forth the science of human duty, moral values, and how to behave. The next time somebody tells you they're a Bible scholar, ask them, have you read this book? No. The answer will be no. Why not? Well, because the book, yeah, but the book's been written and rewritten by some shyster like Schofield. So it's okay for a shyster like Schofield to rewrite the Bible, okay? And people take heart to it. But it's not okay for a holy man like Paramahansa Yogananda. You don't want to read that, but you'll read that shit. But not this. Not this. A man spending his entire life in meditation to get self-realized. Not this. Oh, God forbid, we should see an understanding that goes deeper and truer into what you call the holy book. So you'll take a drunk's perception of the Bible, but not a holy man who has studied a lot of holy scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita being one of the great books, the Bhagavatam. Okay, so what kind of fucking Bible scholar are you? See, this is, don't you think that's common sense? Because I would think that if you really love Yeshua, you would want to know everything, every perception, every point of view. You would want that as long as it came from light. Light. Key word here, light. And deep meditations and deep reflections. You would think. Wouldn't you? I would think. And again, to remind you, they rewrote the Bible, Schofield, right? But they never fucking put Mary Magdalene back in the book in her rightful place as a divine eternal consort to Yeshua. As an equal. Yeah. I find that abhorrent. Ethics, scriptural truth as applied to material life, set forth the science of human duty, moral laws, and how to behave. Psychology, truth applied to mental well-being, teaches one how to analyze himself, for no spiritual progress is possible without introspection and self-study, by which one endeavors to find out what he is so that he can correct himself and become what he should be. metaphysics, truth pertaining to the spiritual dimension of life, explains the nature of God and the science of knowing him. These three taken together and put into practice constitute religion. The ethical moral principle prescribed in the New Testament are the same as the Gita. This is why, if you're pursuing the nature of the universe, God, the one of 1,000 names, the one who created you, millions, billions of years ago, it would be good to read the Gita, the Quran, the Torah, just to get a sense of what the fuck's going on. Buddhism, Buddhist scriptures, definitely. Because unlike these other religions I mentioned, the Buddhists aren't going around saying convert or you will be put on the rack. I mean, I'm sorry. And still I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a lone wolf reading from various sage wisdoms. Because ultimately it's not about, sticking to one. It's my truth. I'm going to hold. And the fuckery is that most of the people I've met in the Christian world most of these religions, actually, to be honest, they will not let go. They will not expand. They will not. They expect medicine to expand. They expect science to expand. But they will not say, oh, there's some new information. Oh, they found the Nag Hammadi in the caves of the Sinai. But let me not read that. Why not? You don't want to read what the updates of what was found that was written by, people who thought it was dangerous to have it out there. So they stuffed it in jars and hid it in caves. Who hides fucking shit that is knowledge, divine knowledge, unless they're afraid of it being destroyed? Hello? I mean, really, come on now. You see what I'm saying? So when I tell you that you're seeing the cattle and humanity split away from you, right? Because you're not dogmatic, right? Obviously, right? You and B, you would have scrolled by now. You were, oh, she's crazy. She's talking again. She's so angry. I'm not angry. I'm fucking passionate. You should be too. And so, again, and the way to read some of this stuff, because I know you're busy. I know you are. And you're overwhelmed. I get it. Trust me. Most of the books I've read, to be honest, were while I'm walking, while I'm driving an 8-hour trip. That shit's on. And I'm going back and I'm putting it back to the beginning to read it again, to listen to it again as I'm driving back home 8 hours away, right? So it's a long ass trip. I figure let me tuck into my concentrating on the road and listening to divine wisdoms from great people who have done some amazing work to bring this to people like me. So listen to it on Audible, things of that nature. This, unfortunately, is not on Audible because it would probably be, 250 hours just to read this, to be honest. So hang on, let me jump. By way of example, some parallel or complementary verses from the Bhagavad Gita are cited. I've given a detailed explanation of these verses and the entirety of the Gita in separate work, to which I encourage readers to refer to for additional insight into the truths implicit but not elaborated in Yeshua's words that have come down to us in the 4 canonical Gospels. Had Jesus himself written his teachings, they might indeed have been expressed in greater depth than in the generalities of a conversation with his disciples or a discourse to the multitudes. Certainly, in the revelation of St. John, we are led by means of metaphor into the profound insights of the yoga science in which Yeshua initiated his advanced disciple John and others whose consciousness thereby ascended to the exalted self-realized state of the kingdom of God within. So I'm just reading this stuff to kind of give you a boost, like a real boost, because what I found is that people have had a very bad taste in their mouth with Yeshua. Yeshua has represented some trauma associated to the fuckery of priests on the most innocent and vulnerable. I don't think I need to elaborate. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this has been a trauma that has lasted thousands of years and beyond. And I have no words for that. I can't account for it, nor can I excuse it. But we have to separate the trauma of masculines and feminines who are toxic as fuck from what was brought to us. We have free will to literally eat the fish and throw away the bones. In other words, take what matters and throw away what it was attached to. And it was attached to a lot of blood and violence. There's no doubt. And that's really disgusting. And then you have your dogmatic nuts that are like holding on to things that make no sense, and they shouldn't make sense. And so again, the split on this planet of consciousness is probably harrowing to you in watching it, right? But I can tell you there is a divine purpose for it. And it's to really make you decide where you stand. And you're going to feel like a lone wolf. I'll straight up. And you should be used to that anyway. By now, you should be completely used to, being the lone wolf. And as I said in 2023, the Starseed tribes are gathering. And we are. And we're getting a sense of moving here and there across the country, across the world, to create communities that connect with places all over the world so that people can fly in and meet with various communities with different points of views, no less magical and wise. I don't want to be a preacher because it's not my fucking thing, trust me. But I thought it was interesting to share this with you. I will read this because I just fell to this page. Of the fullness of the Christ consciousness that permeates creation, all prophets have received. All those who are in tune receive that consciousness without measure. Lesser men and women, according to their capacity, also receive their every goodness, like a mouth drinks of the eternal grace of the Christ consciousness and of his fullness. That is omnipresent Christ consciousness. All can receive who make their minds pure. And grace. For every goodness in man, he receives from the eternal goodness of God. What does that mean? It basically means stay in your goodness, stay in your light. Don't get cynical. Don't lose hope. Don't, there are people celebrating. Well, we've seen it. We've seen it from the beginning of the famine, the engineered famine, where we saw people literally mocking women, Palestinian women losing their babies and doing videos mocking them. Whole skits. We've seen people do a gender reveal, doing a boom boom on a little neighborhood. Okay? This concept of celebrating people's annihilation is, you got to check yourself. If you were one of them, check yourself. Don't go with that fucking crowd. That is not a crowd that is in alignment with integrity, compassion, empathy, and honor. Above all, honor. All the great kings, all the great generals, warriors that we still talk about had honor. Believe it or not, even in this disgusting term called war, there was honor. And there was respect. And I don't know what happened, but we are led by the most dishonorable, deviant, sadistic fucks we've ever seen in written history. And that cannot be something that takes you down from your own progression and your journey to self-realization. Your ascension continues no matter what you're seeing, no matter what you're exposed to. Your integrity to yourself and to the collective who's walking towards the ascension is the most important. It is not to be who's walking towards the ascension is the most important. It is not to be stained by other people's fucked up consciousness. This is not your truth. And you will feel alone. And I feel like crying when I say that. You will feel alone. And that's why I'm doing these lives more and more, to kind of get a sense that you're not alone. You're not. We're here. You might not see us or hear our voice, but we are here. We're all over the world. We're spread all over the world. We're meditating. We're chanting. We're walking in the woods with wonder. We're walking into the ocean with awe and talking to the water as an ally. We are everywhere. And then you'll have fucks coming up going, oh, I'm the descendant of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. Do you know how many people I'm blocking who are saying that to me? First of all, let me just state the obvious. If people actually had that bloodline, it would be too dangerous for them to say it, and they have enough brains to know not to say a fucking thing if they really have that literal DNA in their blood. But to be honest, most importantly, fuck the bloodline. What's more important than anything is you are the fractals of that divine sacred union. Fractals. Energetically, we have been anointed. I will say that. Does that sound arrogant? No. No, because we are trying to become better and more refined versions of our humanity, which includes compassion, empathy, and generosity, and the fierce desire for the whole planet to be healed, irregardless of their own race, gender, preference, or religious beliefs. We want that for everyone. And so in that way, we are fractals. So let me look at anything else. Anyway, it's a two-volume book. It's called The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You by Paramahansa Yogananda, Volume 1 and 2. And definitely get them. They are under $30. To buy this book and shipping on eBay is under $30, just so you know. And it's pretty amazing. Listen to this. If someone says, this is on page 279, which is a double 9, by the way, that's interesting. Okay, it says here, if someone says to me, I believe in God, I will ask him, why do you believe? How do you know there is a God? If the reply is based on supposition or secondhand knowledge, I will say that he does not truly believe. To hold a conviction, one must have some data to support it. Otherwise, it's mere dogma. And it is easy praise for skepticism. If I were to point to a piano and proclaim that it's an elephant, the reason of an intelligent person would revolt against the absurdity. Likewise, when dogmas about God are propagated without the validation of experience or realization, sooner or later, when tested with a contrary experience, reason will assail with speculation the truth about those ideas. As the scorching rays of the sun of analytical inquiry gets hotter and hotter, frail, unsubstantiated belief wilts and withers away, leaving a wasteland of doubt, agnosticism, or atheism. Transcending mere philosophy, scientific meditation attunes the consciousness to the higher mighty truths. With every step, the devotee moves towards actual realization and avoids bewildered wandering. To persevere in efforts to verify and experience beliefs through intuitional realizations, which can be attained by yoga methods, is to build a real spiritual life that is proof against doubt. Wow, that was amazing. So, I think that was amazing. I think belief is a powerful force if it leads to the desire and determination to experience Christ. This is what Jesus meant when he urged people to believe in the name of the only begotten Son of God. Through meditation, withdraw the consciousness and life energy from the sense and matter to intuit the Om. Did you see how he writes? The Om. Do you see how he weaves in, like scriptures, right? He weaves it, but he weaves it in with things. Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Vedas are older than any fucking recorded religion. They're older. Om is a seed sound. It is a vibrational sound to open the third eye, to heal you. If you close your mouth and you say Om, you will feel the vibration going up to the tops of your crown chakra. It will hit your third eye. It's a decalcification method. Okay? Here, do it with me. Here, close your mouth and go Om. Om. You can feel your lips vibrating, and you can feel it rising to the top of the frontal lobe. Okay? And it wraps around the back of your head. Okay? And when you close your eyes, the vibration gets even more intense. I would assume because the outside environment, the eyes, right, are no longer distracted by, say, what's in my room right here. Right? The books on the shelves, the drums. I closed my eyes and it actually intensified. The word all-pervading cosmic vibrating energy that is the name or active manifestation of the eminent Christ consciousness. One can assert incessantly an intellectual belief in Yeshua Christ, but if he never actually experienced the cosmic Christ as both omnipresent and incarnate in Yeshua, the spiritual practice of his belief is insufficient to save him. Right on. Yeah, to save him, to know this energy. No one can be saved by just repeatedly uttering the Lord's name or praising him in crescendos of hallelujahs. Not in blind belief in the name of Yeshua or the adoration of his personality can be liberating power of his teaching he received. The real worship of Christ is the divine communion of Christ's perception in the wall-less temple of expanded consciousness. Yeah, in other words, you don't have to go to church and be led by crackpots. I'm sorry, fuck it. I'm done. You don't have to go to church and be led by crackpots. I'm sorry, fuck it. I'm done. I'm gloves off. 2025 is gloves off for all of us, apparently, from what I'm seeing. Fucking everyone's like taking their glove. They're like, yeah, fuck this. You're getting hit in the shin. I don't give a shit. You know, I mean, no one gives a shit anymore. Swear to God. Basically, we have been so lobotomized. Our voices, our ability to talk in real terms has been so lobotomized that the frustration is now, you know? So between that, right? Between that and the Bhagavad Gita and reading Buddhist scriptures, and I would go so far as to say Taoism, Chinese philosophy, right? And what is Chinese philosophy? When you study Taoism, well, it's about the ancestors, but what is it about? It's about honor. It's a code of honor. It's a code of integrity and honor. You honor your ancestors. You honor your neighbor. You honor. Isn't that funny how they all have this beautiful philosophy of don't fuck where you eat. Don't harm anyone unless you're protecting your family, and you definitely don't want to harm anyone. But if you have to, what are you going to do? But it says, don't just do it to just do it. Don't just take someone's land because what the fuck? The collapse of our societies from Atlantis. We went from the golden age to the fuckery of these high, arrogant, entitled, psychopathic leaders. Fuckery of these high, arrogant, entitled, psychopathic leaders who were playing with energy, abusing quartz crystal, abusing the wisdom of water that holds our entire history. Water holds history, right? And they decided to become, you could say gods, you could, and put massive harm and catapulted all of us from 560 consciousness in some cases, many parts of the world, into 3D. Caveman time, complete amnesia, complete lobotomy of our fucking memory of our beginnings of where we came from. We were lost. We were lost because they wanted to play, God games, and it impacted all of us. And all the players, I keep saying the same thing, all the players are back. All the players are back. And that's what's very fascinating to me. And many of you might go through moments of depression, and I can't say I blame you, but don't stay there too long. Listen to this. In contrasting men of darkness and men of light, Yeshua cited the universal psychological error committed by the habits enslaved. They avoid all thoughts of the greater fulfillment of mind and body awaiting them in the practice of good habits, because they fear that in giving up their imagined pleasures of the flesh, they will suffer the pangs of deprivation. Just as the owl loves the nighttime and hides away during the day, so persons governed by dark habits shun the light of self-improvement. Some people don't want to wake up. Some people actually don't want to fucking heal. They, in fact, so one of the things they say is, it's always been like that, it'll always be like that, it's just how it is. Okay, enjoy, bye. You know what I mean? Bye. Don't let the door, because I'm not going to do this with you. You know what I mean? So, let me see. Let me look at something. Hang on, I'm looking at. But he doth trust. But he that doth truth cometh to the light, that his deep may be made manifest that they are wrought in God. Truth is very slippery terms. Christ himself refused to define it when interrogated by Pontius Pilate. Absolute standards cannot always be applied in this relative world. To adhere to truth in everyday life, man must be guided by intuitive wisdom. Did you hear that? He says man must be, man and woman. I'm sorry saying man, but again, remember where he was born and the kind of system, okay? But intuitive wisdom that alone illuminates unerringly what is right and virtuous in any circumstance. The voice of conscience is the voice of God. Yeah, because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel light. This is why, and it's funny because the minute you allow the monkey mind to step in, right, you're fucked. In fact, the download, you might have had a problem, right, where you sat and you went, I fucking don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what the answer is to this. And suddenly in meditation or taking a power walk and you're sweating, whatever, swear to God, even the somatic movement of the body pumping will have you download the truth, right? Your truth for your problem. And then you'll go, wait, that can't be. It's too easy. And there comes the monkey mind. And now you've forgotten it's like, oh my God, where is it? Wait, hang on. And your monkey mind just rips you to shreds and you can't remember that intuitive wisdom. And so it would be a good idea the minute you get an intuitive wisdom to literally talk to text on your phone, like text yourself what happened, what you received from your intuitive wisdom, like right away, fucking write it down. Do not think you'll remember. Trust me. You will not remember because the monkey mind has yet to be our ally and our servant. That's the problem with the monkey mind. It is still, and to be fair to all of us, just to be fair, it's because, again, as I say, in every life, I say it, we have been trained like Pavlov's dog for centuries of our incarnations. Many of us had 10 incarnations in a 100-year period, 5 incarnations in a 100-year period. We've had multiple incarnations, concurrent incarnations, and so on and so forth. And we have been trained not to trust the intuitive wisdom that links us to the divine consciousness of unconditional love and wisdom, eternal, infinite wisdom. And this is why all of these little distractions are really a massive mindfuck. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hear you. You've been fighting depression for a long time. I hear you. It feels, to be honest with you, depression is not mental. Well, and I can't say it because, again, everyone, oh my God, you're being political. You don't know what mental health is. No, I do know what mental health issues is. And the mental health issues is massively based on fucking our environments and the infrastructure they're in. Okay? Why do you think people take happy pills? So they don't feel anything. Better that and go and grind out the day than feel. Because the minute you feel, you go, fuck, this is fucking stupid. I'm wasting I've been working for this company for 10 years. What the fuck am I doing? I don't care about the meetings. I don't care. I'm not making enough money. I'm trying to get a raise and I'm not going to, and I've been told no, maybe in another year. I've got to prove myself. What the fuck? So depression. And depression is also connected by, I'm going to say, your family. Your family will they might disown you. They might betray you. They might do all of the above. They see you as a scapegoat. They see you as a golden child, whatever. They combine both. Not everyone has a fabulous family. In fact, most people don't. That's why when I meet a woman who has a great relationship with her mother, it's like you're a unicorn, man. That's like, congratulations, you kicked ass on this one, right? So it's very interesting. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's both your faults of what's happening. Sometimes it isn't your fault. It actually isn't. They are a fucked up family member. Just saying. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with you. It's definitely them. But depression has multiple catalysts. Let's put it that way. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Okay? And I can't get into too many clinical terms because I could, and it's been proven that certain diagnoses are actually, and they've said this is real psychology here, where they've said that certain mental breakdowns are caused by an event. Okay, that's not me. This is what I've read by PhDs. Okay, sometimes people aren't born with it. It's caused by an event or multiple of events. Well, PTSD, CPTSD, for example, is a good example of that, right? Obviously. So depression is where they get us, though. And I've dealt with depression. Don't get me wrong. I've dealt with it since I was 8. Okay? Because, I was exposed to a lot of videos of the Vietnam War and black and white footages of some horrific shit. And I don't regret seeing it, by the way, just so you know. It made me who I am. I'm actually very happy my parents did not protect me from it, but allowed me to see it so I could understand partitions of this planet and how certain people ran it to the fucking ground. So to me, that was good. Okay? You do what you want with your kids, but that's how I was raised, and I'm glad. I will never regret it. And that's why I did a whole live on Charlie Kirk yesterday on compassion, because people are flagging. I didn't feel anything. I'm like, are you okay? Because I've been watching this shit since I was 8. So, and I'm still feeling it. So if I can still feel, oh my God, what a shock moment, right? Like when 9/11 happened, I was in shock. My tears streaming down my face. People throwing themselves out of windows. Whether there's all kinds of conspiracies on X, Y. But I was in shock. My tears streaming down my face. People throwing themselves out of windows. Whether there's all kinds of conspiracies on X, Y, and Z, and I get it. So, but right now, I'm going to tell you what I felt as it was happening. As it was happening, tears running down my face, unaware, and where I literally and I remember my son was 2. I was with my mother. I'd just gotten out of the shower. I had a towel around me, and I sat on her couch I was ripped apart watching it. And I still feel these emotions, with whether it's watching the devastation of what's happening to people in Palestine, in Palestine, the Palestinian people, and a man like Kirk still devastates me. I will never get over the nonchalant way people think it's okay to take someone's fucking life. Nonchalant, yeah, it's another day. Karma. No, that's not how you use the word karma. Sorry, it's not. Be careful how you use words, because the universe and when we talk about karma, let me just say, and I've said it for a long time, the 21st century, karma is immediate. It's within a year, 2 years, or 3. Karma will come. But we don't use it. Like there's certain words you don't say unless you're fucking sure you stand. But we don't use it. Like there's certain words you don't say unless you're fucking sure you stand with your full heart that you're okay with saying it, because the catapulting of karma back to you on saying things like that is very, very dangerous. I'm not joking. In the old days, like when I was reading for people in the or for myself, mostly in the 80s and then into the 90s, I started reading for people. I didn't see karma come on people, but now, oh fuck, yeah, karma hits people like a train, like a fucking bullet train. And I don't want to talk about Orange Guy, our little orangutan friend, but but it looks like he had something happen to him and his mouth is sideways. Have you noticed that? Okay, that's not AI, that's a real. So my point to you, why am I bringing that up? Because you're going to see that happen with some of the most famous people. You're going to see karma hit, and but the thing is, it's I'm so careful with that. Like, I didn't want to say it even here, but I'm saying it to kind of hopefully share a philosophy of caution. Okay, I mean, I actually don't like that I had to say it, but I did. But the point is, with our man, and the reason why I called him what I called him was because code word, because I don't want this flagged, unfortunately. Okay, and whatever happens to these people, you don't have to be concerned. People who betray you, let's go more into your level of what you need. Anyone who betrays you in this at this timeline, yeah, wow, I would feel sorry for them because it's not going to go well. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to like wait for something bad to happen to them because they hurt you or anything like. You don't have to. Keep walking ahead. Keep your eyes on the prize. Ascension, you Earth. Do not waste your fucking energy on watching and waiting for someone to get their, you know what, the big K. Don't do that. You're wasting your time. You need to trust that what needs to happen will happen in divine timing. And it's none of your fucking business. It really isn't. You know what I mean? I know the divine came in heavy for me on that one. I had conflicting emotions about his. Yeah, but I mean, conflicting. Why? Why? Somebody, look, if you saw the actual video of what happened to him, that alone should be. Forget his philosophy. Forget what he was saying. Fuck all that. You just saw somebody who was living and breathing and blinking, and boom, it was over. And if anything, and I used to say this all the time, when somebody close to you or far, far away from you dies, what is the gift for you? The gift is to realize, oh my God, it can end in any second. Yeah, that's the message. It can end in any second. I did a whole live on it yesterday, which you can check out on my YouTube, which talks about how that alone, fuck the philosophy. Fuck all the shit they said. People are trying to go, oh, he was racist. Well, okay, and I just saw a human being who was a human being who, it was over. What's the lesson? My lesson is, oh my God, I'm gonna hug my son more. I'm gonna tell the people I love even more deeply that I love them. And I'm not gonna say it in a eulogy. I'm gonna say while they're alive why I love them. That's the deeply that I love them. And I'm not gonna say it in a eulogy. I'm gonna say while they're alive why I love them. That's the takeaway. Fuck the philosophies of these people. You just saw something happen. That's the only takeaway. Right? And what I find interesting, I said it already, is that there's really barely anything on those kids that lost their lives. Barely anything. I haven't seen anything, to be honest. But meanwhile, what is happening? They lost their lives. Barely anything. I haven't seen anything, to be honest. But meanwhile, what is happening is that they're boots on the ground in Gaza. And they're asking people who haven't eaten since March a decent meal, a high caloric, protein-infused meal, and dehydration of the ass, to take a fucking long-ass walk and to carry all they can, including tents, including... What the fuck is going on here? Okay, BB fuck, why don't you bring tour vans and pick them up? But they're not... And if anything, that should be what you're conflicted about. How can human beings do that to other human beings? Breaking every human rights law where Francesca Albanese has been sanctioned. Are you fucking kidding me? Where flotillas have to go out and face what could be a very bad ending to their journey, to their odyssey, to their armada of ships. What could be a very bad ending to their journey, to their odyssey, to their armada of ships. You understand? And so the distraction needs to stop. It should be all eyes on those people. And doing as much as we can, energetically speaking, so they can make it. And again, these countries that are bordering that part of the world are a disgrace, energetically speaking, so they can make it. And again, these countries that are bordering that part of the world are a disgrace, and we should know that. That means, fuck Egypt and the pyramids. They were there. They were there. The people that are there weren't the ones that built that anyway. So why are we going there? Right? Am I wrong? Do you think I'll ever go to There's a lot of places that were on my, what would they call, my bucket list when I was 18, 20. I'll never go. I don't want to go there. I'm not interested in rubbing shoulders with people who, are preventing people from crossing over into freedom, into safety. The people who did something in Egypt that were filling up empty water bottles with lentil and baby formula and rice. Those are the people that have a heart and soul, but they have no power. They're not the leaders. And until there's a new leadership, I'm not going there. 5 days ago, 900 people, mostly boomers, got arrested in the UK. I'm not going to the UK. You don't think I want to go see Stonehenge? Of course I do, but I'm not going. The energy of what made these monoliths, these structures, energetically the energy is so fucked around it. You're not going to get benefits from them anyway. So the benefits, okay, to be honest, is right here beneath your feet. Right here beneath your feet, where you can actually harness Mother Earth. She's right here. She's right beneath your feet. If you feel called to go to France, Portugal, Bali, go. Fuck structures. I'm done. I'm done with these symbols that we've aligned ourselves with higher consciousness. They're things. They're not the reality. Because they're being used, right? They're being used to create tourism and this and that. But the energy, you have to understand the egregoric energy is of these people that are leading, right? They are the leaders of the country. They are diluting the very integrity of these structures. So I'm not going. There's no point in me going. For what? For what? Something has to change. And so rather than go to the Egyptian, I'd love to go to the Egyptian museum. Are you kidding? Fucking a dream. But I guess I'll see whatever, unfortunately, I'll see other things. Maybe not as powerful, but I'm not going to give my money to countries that have failed in stopping this for example. So, we're going into the various conversations, but ultimately, I think that you get the point. I knew that wasn't the highest. I knew that wasn't the highest way of thinking. Well, it's really, and it's not to beat yourself up. I mean, look, here's the thing. You were aware of it. I felt bad about it, yeah, but I knew that it was the highest way. I knew I was wrong to feel happy that someone who was touching the world wrong could no longer. No, I know that, but that's the point. You had a hermit moment where you went within and you questioned the initial impact, which was a pollination of the collective consciousness of fucked up consciousness. And this is something that we're constantly needing to clear ourselves up. Why do you think I tell people, cops, therapists, doctors, nurses, teachers, to sage yourself every day? Because you're picking up on people's bullshit. It's not yours. Okay? And so the fact that you went in and paused and started thinking about it and deconstructing it, right? And saying, wait, what's up with that? Shows that you're on the journey of self-realization and you're evolving. You're going, let me neutralize this, okay, for a minute. Let me pause. Hang on, let me pause. And people had tried to convince, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I don't care. And this is when we dehumanize human beings, then it gives us the right to harm human beings. Don't you see that's what's been happening with the people, the Palestinian people? They've been dehumanized us for fucking so long that they don't have human rights, basically. I could go more into it, but I won't, because I think the obvious is in your face. You cannot dehumanize, and you cannot allow any other people to dehumanize other people. It should never be tolerated. Never, never. You do not tolerate that shit. Look at what's happened to us as women. Just look at that. Look at how we've been dehumanized, that the feminine sex was dehumanized so that we were thought to be of cattle, of be great souls, barely that. In some religions, and again, the Bhagavad Gita has that, where there's of be great souls, barely that. In some religions, and again, the Bhagavad Gita has that, where there's a philosophy that women who are incarnated as women are fucked up. When we were men, we fucked up. That's why we became women. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? So when you dehumanize a woman, right, and you think of her as just a breeding cow, and barely, and has no consciousness, no intelligence, no opinion, none of that matters, right? You can treat her you can treat her like a cow. And this is why, Prabhupada said, when terrorism on animal ends, terrorism on people will end. And that's a whole different philosophy right there. You cannot dehumanize. You cannot think that because a sentient being is, say, an animal, right, a wolf, a bear, whatever, that it's okay to torture that creature if he's sick. So it's very dangerous to dehumanize any other person, no matter what you think about their philosophy. And let's be honest, you know what I'm struggling with, which it's not really a struggle. It's me kind of accepting that as a shadow. I have very little empathy, I'll be honest, because I'm not walking on water, for pedos. Pedos for me, we're done. And and I hope that I can, at least at the very minimum, neutralize it, so that I feel nothing for them, right? Meaning I would not rejoice if a pedo was, obliterated, right? I would not feel joy. But I would also, I'm trying to get there. So trust me. So that for me is the last one. It's pedos. For me, that for decades, that's been like the no-fly zone. Yeah, we're done here. Okay? And there's a cold white rage over that group of people who try to program us and who try to repackage it as adults having affection for younger people. You know, how they want to just repackage it. And I have a hard time with that one. But aside from that, you're a racist, you're this, you're that. Yeah, I still don't want you to fucking lose your life. Okay? I don't. Believe it or not. And, but that's a hard one for me. So again, just to be transparent with you, any other questions or comments? Okay. So buy this book. I would highly recommend you buy the series of this book, especially if you are a recovering Christian. I think it would give you some solace. Let me read you one more. This is page 322, and it says, "Mortal life is governed by the law of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap." In this passage, however, Yeshua used the parable of the sower, the laborer, the harvesting time, and the harvest to illustrate that the immortal soul of man, a reflection of transcendent spirit, is above creation's cause and effect subjugation. To one who is identified with this assumed mortal nature, the karmic law metes out wisdom and happiness only according to one's earned merit. One who is identified with spirit reaps without measure the infinite wealth of divinity. So you reap what you sow. I say that a lot, believe it or not. The soul needs nothing but to remember the divine wealth it already possesses. Raising the gaze of consciousness in deep meditation to the third eye of spiritual perception, the aspirant beholds in the Raising the gaze of consciousness in deep meditation to the third eye of spiritual perception, the aspirant beholds in the starry white light of soul realization the wisdom and bliss abundance that is her divine birthright, long forgotten, never lost, and instantly reclaimed. As the darkness of closed eyes is dispelled immediately when one opens his eyes, so the instant one opens his eyes of wisdom, the gloom of ignorance is banished, and he, her, beholds himself as a perfect soul in the light of God. This is a great consolation, for to reach perfection through the karmic consequential process of trial and error seems a near impossibility, requiring countless incarnations. Man must labor to acquire prosperity, wisdom, and happiness. A self-realized child of God, reclaiming his divine inheritance, already possesses everything. So much effort is required to reap a harvest of material worth, a relative vast of time when one must inevitably lose sooner or later all that has been acquired. Yeshua points out that this is far better to make the effort to know what one already possesses as a divine child. The soul that has cast off its mortality claims its birthright and enjoys throughout eternity the harvest of bliss in God. The only people that need to keep incarnating are those who rejoice at people's, and I'm going to say it here because I have to, but the people who need reincarnation again and again are the people they don't have empathy. They don't have compassion. Everything they do is has a price and is constantly conditional. So people like that, right, who don't give a fuck, right, unless it happens to them personally or their family, some of their family members, yeah, those people probably need to incarnate again and again. But many of us, okay, the only thing that's stopping us from stopping the 3D reincarnation wheel is two things: lack of self-love and empathy. Those two things need to be refined. Then after that, you're no longer a match to 3D. I just gave you a great recipe, and it isn't mine. It's high ancient wisdom. Self-realization is accepting your shadows. Like you were saying, I was like looking at myself going, why am I happy? Like, why? You're like, that is self-realization. That's huge moment of growth. You should be proud of yourself, actually. You should be proud of your inner little child that said, let's question this. Why are you feeling this way? And is this really yours? Or is it the mob mentality that somehow flecked its stain on you? Okay? Or is it you and you're coming out of this old you into the new you, right? Right? Okay, so that to me is huge. So self-love, self-acceptance. You said, what is your feeling about the essence of gospels? I have met people. What do you mean? What do I feel? I feel that if they've enjoyed them, it's not for enjoyment. I'm sorry. And maybe you're saying you're saying those words because there's very little you can type here, to be fair to you. But who've enjoyed the essence of the Gospels, I would say, are you here to enjoy them, or are you here to self-realize? Are you here to heal yourself? Are you here to understand? And in that case, you should read fucking, I don't know, man. Why aren't you, if you're into God, in God consciousness, why aren't you reading Krishna? Why, and the Bhagavad Gita? Why don't you want to read Muhammad, the Quran? Why don't you want to read the Torah? Why don't you read Buddhism and Taoism and Sufism? And why don't you want to read about Jainism? There's a religion that they do absolutely no harm. First of all, they're vegetarians, okay, number one. Number two, they have a broom, swear to God, to brush away the ants and insects as they walk. They will not harm any sentient being. No way, no how. Did you know there was such a religion? Okay, so why don't you know about it, right? And so when you study the various philosophies of compassion, right, then, and again, most of these religions have been bastardized by kings, emperors, and warriors for their own end. This is why when people say, King James version, why? If you go down the rabbit hole on King James, you go, why are we doing this? Why? I'm trying to look for a fucking Bible that's a direct translation of Aramaic and Greek. Okay? That's what I'm looking for. And unfortunately, I had one like 25 years ago and I sold it. thinking, oh, when I need it, I'll find it. It was from the 1800s, and I fucking could kick myself, to be honest. So, all I'll say to you is, if you really want to, if you want to be God conscious, then God conscious means you learn other people's belief systems and why, and you will take away new philosophies. And I think dogmatism in religion is why we are 2,000 years later still having wars. So, I mean, apparently it's not working, is it? Or, I mean, is it? Because I don't think it is. So again, the book that I was reading from is called The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within by Paramahansa Yogananda. The self-realization that I was reading from is called The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within by Paramahansa Yogananda. The Self-Realization Fellowship, founded in, when was it founded? 1920, I think? Hang on. I think it was 1920. And I've been reading these books. The autobiography of the Yogi Paramahansa Yogananda, I read when I was like 29 years old, and I read it like 3 or 4 times, and it changed my every book I've read by these great, wise philosophers, teachers, religion. I learned so much from his book. And to the point where in my 50s, I read it again on Audible, and I have it in my library. And there's certain must-have books, esoteric must-have books you must have in your library, whether you're ready to read it now or later. Some books I buy on Audible, and I have it in print, because some books you just have to have it in print. So, and I have it in print, because some books you just have to have it in print. So I misplaced it. So anyway, any other questions or comments? Because I really want to thank you for being here. I think I'm going to take a card from Rumi, from Alana Fairchild, and see what the message is for you guys. So if you don't mind, I would go ahead and let's talk about what the message is for you guys today. Whether you're on my YouTube channel, please follow me on YouTube, and please follow me on Patreon, where I have like special things for my Patreon members. And we have a support group for Twin Flames Ascension. It's meeting on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. So if you want to join that Patreon group, it's $9.99 a month. We meet 4 times a month, every Saturday. Okay, so when you're ready, pick top, bottom, and middle. Top, bottom, or middle. When you're ready. Top, bottom, and middle. When you're ready. If not, I'll just pick a card right now. If I don't see anything, I'll just pick top. Okay, top. All right, perfect. It's called the Dissolving Light. It's number 3. So again, we keep talking about the balance of the mind, body, and spirit. Number 3. Okay, let's read it. Let's see what's going on with this. And again, the Dissolving Light. That's interesting. And it said, and again, this is by Rumi, I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I became a human. Why should I fear anything when I was ever less by dying? Rumi. There to take my hand and become set alight with body fire, my cherished one. Step forward with me, let us burn together, dissemble in the light that cannot be extinguished. This is the light that burns with such incandescent truth that no falsehood can understand its audacious vibration. Come out with me now to the light. Together we shall melt into truth. There's a light so intense, so powerful that nothing other than itself, to own truth, can exist in its presence. It is the sacred seed, the star of your being lit up from within. It is the light that never goes out. It is the light that is so powerful, it is beyond duality of light and dark, cannot ever be extinguished or diminished, and quite simply beyond all logic, just is. Certainly no lie, no deception, no boundary or defense can remain intact in its presence. The blazing divinity of this light sears through any pretense, annihilates illusions, and takes us into stark experience of divine truth. It is gentleness, and yet it cannot be overcome. It is enduring power, and yet it is tender. Though you seek the divine and even know it as love. You also know that it is fierce, wild, inexplicable, and demanding beyond all measure. It wants you completely, utterly, without condition. There will be times in your life, such as now, when there is something not worthy of you that must be released. This is a falsehood, a lie, or a deception of some sort that you have come to believe of your life, or perhaps even another. Happened that the deception is or may be about to be unveiled. It is not a cause for fear or concern, but for celebration. An illusion that has or soon will be released, and you shall become free in a way that only truth can provide. This oracle comes to you as a sign of that which is to come, and soon. The beloved divine presence is calling to you, igniting within you deepest being so that there may have its way with you. The divine wishes to live through you and into the world, reaching into the heart of many, its way with you. The divine wishes to live through you and into the world, reaching into the heart of many and igniting those hearts into greater life. It is a clever and insatiable love. It will stop at nothing until the entire human race is restored to the wild, divine freedom of ecstatic, divine reunion and completely and utterly ignited in love. And so the great lover, the divine, calls for you to enter into the white-hot field of its passionate presence. There will be sizzle and burn. It cannot be otherwise. In the height of summer, you can cast aside the layers of clothing you require in the winter. This is natural. You do not think twice about it as you approach the radiant sun of divinity. Your emotional and psychological layers are to be shed too, for they are too heavy for the heat of the great spiritual sun. What cannot stand the heavenly heat is to be cast aside swiftly by conscious choice, or shall simply burn up, dissolving in the light and melting away. What is left shall be what is true. So here is your guidance, sweet lover of the great beloved. Give it all up. The smallness, conditions, the fears and doubts, the lack of reverence for yourself in life, the belief that somehow things are not okay or aren't going to work out, that all is paltry attempts at truth. You are coming into a truth now that is far more worthy of you. A truth with a capital T, the big truth, love, trust, surrender. And this is about a sacred shedding without fear of holding back. Cast aside whatever would hold you back rather than free you to fly into your divine destiny. You are not to be the same from this moment on. That is the holy word, the words inscribed. You are not to be the same from this moment on. That is the holy word, the words inscribed in living divine fire in your sacred heart. This oracle brings you guidance. Trust in your changing perceptive and perceptions. Don't hold onto what you once believed or thought to be true. Allow yourself to be shown another version of events, another way of perceiving. Don't focus on what is not working in your current estimation of things, for that is nothing more than a passing opinion. You are being given an opportunity to see and know yourself, others, and particular life circumstances very differently. Embrace it. Don't resist what is being shown to you. For even if there are some struggles in adjusting your view at first, ultimately this change in perception will free you and bring you more deeply into the wellspring of your own inner peace and happiness. Wow. Aho. So this is beautiful. This is like beautiful. And I'm going to let you go. I have things to do, a lot of things. But I hope this was good for you. As I want to share. I want to thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I'm really excited. Again, the book that I read to you was The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You by Padamanta Yogananda. And if you were raised as any type of Christian, Protestant, Catholic, whatever the hell, I don't know, right? Whatever it was, you might be able to find some peace and solace even if you break away from all religions, you know, like I did, I never could stomach what happened under these excuses by, again, let me repeat, warriors, kings, emperors, and so on. And it continues, it seems. But what I will say is that if I can bend the knee, right, to philosophy and knowledge from the great wise ones like Paramahansa Yogananda, then maybe, and Prabhupada, and Yeshua, and so on, then maybe this will give you some sort of nectar, and you will taste the wisdom of water, and it will give you the strength to trust why you're here, okay, in this timeline. Sending you much love on your journey. Follow me on YouTube. I'll be uploading this video there. Namaste.